The Cleveland Metropolitan School District's board has approved the layoffs of hundreds of employees. That meeting tonight was packed with people chanting so much and so loud, the board took a recess. Your Cuyahoga County reporter Kaylee Olivas was there as well and brings us more from a tense meeting.
The sounds of hundreds of CMSD teachers, parents, and even students, ultimately forcing the CMSD Board of Education
We're going to recess the meeting
into going behind closed doors for roughly 10 minutes, all on the heels of a decision to cut more than 400 positions across the district as CMSD stares down the barrel of a $150 million budget deficit. As the board came back, it threatened that if outbursts continued, they would simply take a vote without discussion. Well, chanting continued, so a vote was had. The layoff of 278 positions based on seniority approved.
In 2026, plans for a new $3.6 billion enclosed stadium
With today's proposal approval, the Ohio House has put the Browns one step closer to Brook Park.
Thank you for the opportunity to have worked on this bill, and I would urge my colleagues to vote yes.
It was just over a week ago when the House announced plans to include $600 million in bonds for Browns ownership to build a 175-acre mixed-use development in Brook Park.
Greetings from the east to north to south, and this wicked ass west. The topic, the Browns versus the Cleveland Board of Education. The questions, why you think they prioritize entertainment over education? Let's get into it. I am your host. I am the one.
This is what I think. I remember in the early 90s, they decided to make a new Cleveland Indians Stadium. They decided to build a new Cleveland Indians Stadium. And I can remember it well because they sold the ideal on this same premise. Here it is 40 years later. They are doing the same thing. What they do is prioritize entertainment over education. And I don't really care which way they sell it. They prioritize entertainment over education. And one of the things that's real interesting is they find the money for entertainment, but they cannot find money for funding education. I remember back in the 70s with the Cleveland school system, and they would want to tax homeowners more for supposedly funding education. And they would put levies on a ballot, and most of the times they would fail. And of course, they, came up with another ideal to bring the Ohio lottery here. And supposedly that was supposed to fund education. Again, they deceived the people. They use money the way they want to use money. If they want a new stadium or some form of entertainment, they would do it. Your children's education means nothing to them. One of the things about rich people that can afford to send their children to private schools, they will. They have a class system. This system was built on racism. Now it's being built on classism. If you have, fine. Your children will continue to lead the way in this nation. Of course, if you don't have, well, you're out of luck. One thing you would notice about rich people, they simply do not care. They could care less. Let's go to the next clip.
Cleveland is such a money-hungry, shitty city, bro. And if you don't know what's going on right now with CMSD, the school district has laid off over 400 teachers and counting in the last 48 hours. So over 400 teachers have woken up in the last 48 hours without their career. And I just left the parent-teacher conference at my son's school, and my son's teacher was one of them. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart for her and her family and her life. And it breaks my heart to know that she was such a staple of my son's life for the past year. And I've grown to know her. And I am just so heartbroken for her. And I can't believe that they can just come in here and take these people's jobs away because we are lacking money. Yet there's still people in office that's making 6-7 figures a year. There is a higher up for every single department. And there's departments that we don't even use. But the teachers that are here on the front line that are actually putting in the work to help develop these children and are the ones that's making an impact on the children's lives are the ones that's being cut.
CMSD, the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, is laying off 400 employees this week. This is going to save them $50 million a year, yet they're also building a $2.5 billion stadium for the fucking Cleveland Browns.
Has nothing to do with the school district whatsoever. I wish people would learn how to understand exactly how things work, what funds what tax incentives go into what.
What he's trying to tell you is money is allocated to a specific area, and one does not have anything to do with the other, which is a lie. Because the fact of the matter is they can find money for everything else but education. So when they decide to allocate money to certain areas, and then they'll tell you with a straight face, well, we can't touch that money because we have this money set aside for this particular thing. But they put that money in those areas for a reason. So it have everything to do with it. The fact of the matter is when you become successful, like whoever this guy is, I've seen him on YouTube. I think he's probably a millionaire 2-3 times over. So your priorities change. So you don't see it as a typical person see things. I see it one way. You can fund money for a stadium, but you can't fund education. Call me simple-minded. I could care less. But when you become, lightweight successful, you seem to not really care about basic people that make basic incomes. Let's move on to the next clip.
Ohio lawmakers are deciding whether to spend $600 million on public education or a new stadium for the Cleveland Browns. The House is hearing a proposal from the football team to give them the money in bonds to pay for their new enclosed stadium. This comes as the House Speaker has threatened to slash $650 million in public education, saying we don't have the budget for it.
Unsustainable.
So I asked him about it.
What is more unsustainable? Public school funding, $600 million for that, or $600 million for a private stadium?
Well,
he didn't end up answering my question. That $600 million could also be used to feed breakfast and lunch to every public school kid in the state. But it's likely that the Browns will end up getting this money, at least in the amendments to the budget that will be coming out in the coming weeks.
Here's why it's a bad look. He turned $1 billion into $4.6 billion, and likely that number will be $6 billion before long. He did that on the backs of Browns fans. That's how he has added $5 billion, if that valuation continues to rise, to his net worth. How does a man who just invested a couple $100,000 in one of Cleveland's sports team's main competitors to buy part of that, then ask those same Cavs fans to write him tax checks when he's got a net worth of over $5 billion? It's not a good look. And the fact that LA was able to subsidize their entire stadium through private funds tells me if they did it in LA, they can do it in Cleveland. even if Haslam has to pay for the bulk of it himself. You want a new stadium to add more worth to your team that the city won't own? It will be yours? Build it.
I don't know this evening on a shakeup for Cleveland Metropolitan Schools, one being described as perhaps the biggest in the district's history. A recommendation to close 23 buildings and merge dozens of schools, all to battle a looming $150 million deficit.
This is a plan about our students.
Wednesday night, District CEO Dr. Warren Morgan outlined recommendations to consolidate the district, a move he says will save the system $30 million each year. Under the plan, there will be 29 fewer CMSD schools by next year, with 39 total school mergers.
I'm feeling the weight of the moment. I know that there are a lot of feelings as people are wrestling with the recommendation and what that means for them.
The recommendation means 18 district-owned buildings and 5 leased spaces will no longer operate as schools. The number of pre-K through 8th grade schools will drop from 61 to 45, high schools from 27 to 14. That includes Glenville High School absorbing Collinwood, with plans to build a new school for this combined student body by 2031.
Before our babies now, they deserve a brighter future. And our current configuration can't deliver on it, and we can't afford it.
The Cleveland Browns are spending more than $2.4 billion to build a dome stadium just outside Cleveland, in a suburb called Brook Park. The dig has already started.
Before our babies now, they deserve a brighter future. And our current configuration can't deliver on it, and we can't afford it.
You can't make this stuff up. Thank you for watching. I am your host. I am the one.